our first new moon of the new calendar year. Today I want to walk you through gently the new moon in Capricorn and how we can work with this energy consciously as we step into 2026. This is our first new moon of the calendar year, but energetically it is not a beginning in the way we're often conditioned to think. And that's really important to understand, because if we try to meet this moon with urgency or pressure, we'll miss what it is actually offering us. This new moon is a threshold, it is a doorway, and it asks for our presence, not our momentum. At the beginning of a new year, many of us feel this pull, this rush forward to plan, to initiate, and to reinvent. But energetically, this moment is still about closing and consolidating. This new moon is actually the final new moon of our energetic and lunar year. And even though it sits at the start of the Gregorian calendar, it is not a start energetically. So if you feel a little slower than expected or less motivated than the new year, new you vibe, nothing is wrong. You're actually in rhythm with nature, very intuitive, very energetically aligned. So what makes this new moon particularly significant is it is the last one before Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, initiating a major collective shift in 2026. 2026 itself is a shift. It's a numerological year one, and almost every planet is changing signs this year. We are entering a completely new energetic landscape. But we don't really begin with that Aries fire we need. We're beginning the calendar year with Capricorn. And Capricorn is asking us to build something very different than we have in the past, in a very different way. This new moon invites us to pause at the doorway between cycles. Behind us, an energetic chapter is closing, and in front of us, something entirely new is opening, something we can't define or control. And instead of rushing across this threshold, this moon asks us to stand here for a moment and tend to our foundations. One of the biggest teachings of this new moon is around self-care, self-trust, and internal stability. Not the surface level version of these words, but the deeper question of how do you care for yourself in a way that you can return to again and again and again, no matter what the external world is doing. Capricorn has carried a really heavy story for many of us. For years through Pluto's transit, Capricorn was associated with hustle and discipline and productivity, status and capitalistic success. And many of us learned, consciously or unconsciously, that our worth was tied to what we could produce, achieve, or endure. But Capricorn is so much deeper than that. Now that Pluto has moved on, Capricorn has softened, and it becomes this archetype of sustainable structures, of long-term integrity, and values what actually supports life rather than extracts from it. It asks not just what we're building, but why and how and at what cost to your nervous system and to your soul. This new moon is an invitation to redefine success on your own terms. You don't need to perform. You don't need to meet anybody else's expectations. And you do not need to push into action yet. Instead, this is a moment to build reassurance within yourself, to get clear on what truly matters to you and how you want to move through the world as things change. And yes, this new moon is closely connected with money and security. There is a powerful concentration of planets in Capricorn, including Venus, which governs value and resources. And this moon forms a supportive connection or a trine with Uranus in Taurus, another archetype tied to material security and sustainability. But here's the key. This isn't about financial planning in a practical external sense. This moon is about internal security, like as within, so without, as Osho reminded us. So how you experience safety, worth, and stability within yourself will shape every decision that you make around money, work, resources for this year. If you try and solve these themes purely on the material level, you will feel frustrated. But if you cultivate a grounded sense of security within, clarity will follow naturally. So instead of asking, how much can I get? The moon's saying, what do you truly need? And how can I work with what I have in a way that supports myself and others. This is Capricornian integrity. This is the kind of foundation that can actually hold the growth that is coming later this year, when Aries energy finally arrives and new beginnings truly ramp up. So as we close out this energetic year, there's one more layer that this moon brings forward. The way you speak to yourself, treat yourself, and hold yourself accountable is paramount. No one in this world can be as consistently kind, respectful, and honest with you as you can be with yourself. And in a world that is craving and beginning, I believe, to cultivate kindness and connection and love, cultivating these qualities within yourself for yourself is not indulgent, is actually essential. Because when you care for the soul and the heart that will walk into 2026, you create a space for freedom, for creativity, for deeper relationships and forms of abundance that do not rely on depletion and burnout and competition. Life at its core is simple. It's an expression of love. And this new moon asks us to begin here. If you want deeper guidance on how to work with this moon, ritual, reflection, intention setting, energetic support, I share in-depth moon guidance inside the moon membership, along with all the resources you need and a beautiful subconscious reprogramming meditation. Building this practical relationship with the moon in a grounded, deeply personal way, you can explore yourself and hold yourself through what is to come. But let this new moon in Capricorn remind you that foundations come before the building. You're not late. You're exactly where you need to be. Don't feel the pressure to rush. Stand in the in-between. Close out what was. Begin to support yourself for what shall be. Happy new moon in Capricorn.